Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you imagine would be the ingredients in Infantino? What do you imagine? Any?
Got to be a noodle or a pasta of some sort, I would think.
I can't believe we forgot pho yesterday.
Yeah.
Like a little rotini.
I think there's a bean in there for sure.
Pho is absolutely a meal, right? Pho,
yeah.
it can't even be disputed.
Very
It's like
hearty.
a deconstructed soup too. They give you all the pieces and then you pour the broth on
it's
top.
great,
I
it's
popped.
great.
I popped the first time I saw that.
Love it.
Get the fuck out of here.
I have a question for the group before we bring in David Samson. None of you were as surprised as I was earlier this season when John Morant made a buzzer beater over Khalil Ware, an amazing athlete, and called him a pigeon. And it's not something I'd ever heard someone else refer to another athlete after beating them. This controversy with the Panthers cane and calling the Panthers turtles. I don't know what the insult is. I've not heard what it means to be a pigeon. I didn't understand that as an insult, and I don't understand turtle as an insult. And it seems like a hockey phrase that I'm being introduced to. And while I don't want to be the show that is during the Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, pronouncing the names or learning how to pronounce the names of some of the players, is it Marchand or is it Marchand? I don't know what the ruling is here.
So turtle, I can Google it to see what it means for hockey, but I think what he's talking about is these are all tough guys, but then when it comes time to throw down, they go in their shell. And I know exactly who he's talking about. He's talking about Matthew Tkachuk. Evander Kane and Matthew Tkachuk have had a Tom and Jerry routine for the last few years. Evander Kane, once famously embroiled in a gambling scandal and all that, had declared for bankruptcy. And there is a very funny video of when Matthew Tkachuk was in Calgary. Remember, Flames, Oilers, massive rivalry. Going to Evander Kane while Evander Kane is being put in the penalty box. Matthew Tkachuk chirping at him, "You need some money? You need me to loan you some money?" So Evander Kane's been trying to kill Matthew Tkachuk for several years, if you remember, because of this horrible divorce, public, that Evander Kane's been going through. His ex-wife would openly flirt on social media with Matthew Tkachuk and put out pro-Matthew Tkachuk propaganda just to get under Evander Kane's skin. So when he's calling someone a turtle, the reputation of Matthew Tkachuk is he only fights the guys that are weaker than him. He'll agitate, and whenever someone comes to fight him, he'll retreat.
And Dan, pigeon, obviously you're not a real hooper. Real hoopers know pigeon. You could throw the wing at them. They're just out of the way. They're flimsy. They're weak, right? That's where a pigeon comes in. If I'm backing down Mike in the post, that's easy work. That's pigeon stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry, Real Hooper. My bad for not
Just
being...
letting you know.
Okay, but the turtle...
On the eve of the NBA Finals, we got the NBA Finals game tonight. By the way, cheap seats, 8 o'clock.
I have adopted the Panthers, but for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of like Evander Kane. Root for him. He's my second favorite player in this series.
Dirty,
I don't know what you're doing.
Dirty.
Wait
Dirty
a minute.
player.
Super dirty.
That was Matthew Tkachuk, man.
He's just a hockey player. He's like, every team needs a guy like that.
Yeah, I like him.
He's just a thug.
He's like 20% above.
Who said what? He's my second favorite player. Seth Jones, number one.
By the way, the slang pigeon goes back, predates basketball, I dare say. A pigeon,
Duclair, number three.
A pigeon is somebody who's a sucker, somebody who's naive.
Sucker.
Hardy R.
Okay, yes. Careful.
Got to go A there.
Sucker.
Yeah, exactly.
David Samson, give me the age of the person that if I were telling you they uttered in your face, Pshaw. They said Pshaw to you. What is the age of that person? And please find me the history of that word. I don't want to get too far away from how Cody dates the show. Get me the back in my day music so he can tell us all about his Pshaw. But what's the answer to my question, Samson?
I would say 65 and older, and I would say that it means sort of shucks, like Pshaw. Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
I think those are close to synonyms.
That's true. It can be an apostrophe, too, I think. It can be P apostrophe SHAW, but I would say a synonym for Pshaw would be Harumph.
No, Harumph is younger than Pshaw.
No, I don't think so.
For
Harumph.
sure. No, a Harumph is absolutely by 20 years younger than a
What,
Pshaw.
like you've got a 30-year-old. I don't know.
Yes.
Nobody
It's an old
says
saying.
Harumph.
No, I'm not. It's not a 30-year-old. No, Harumph is 7 years old. Pshaw is 90 years old.
It's actually older than that, Dan. This might be the oldest word that Greg Cody has ever uttered in his life, and it's been used. Pshaw's been used since the early 1600s.
Wow.
I think I had a stroke there.
And what does it mean?
Means contempt, some sort of contempt.
Yeah, good century. 1600s.
Thank you, Greg, for being the rock-solid icon that you are.
You're welcome.
David Samson, Nothing Personal, handles a number of different subjects extraordinarily well now, 2 hours a day on the DraftKings network, and he is here to soil all Panthers fun by telling you that, yes, the Panthers are right on the precipice of becoming the Miami Heat in this town. However, that is small business compared to being the Miami Heat in this town. And so the Stanley Cup champions, defending 2 times with 2 more victories, David, how much money do they make and why does it pale in comparison to basketball? Because this kind of excellence has not been in this town over 3 straight years very much with any of our teams ever.
So if we're going to judge franchises according to their value and what they could sell for, I would say that the NBA continues to be a much healthier league in terms of what franchises are worth. And so a dynasty in the NBA is going to be way more accretive than a dynasty in the NHL. On court or on ice, what I'm arguing is that if the Panthers win the Stanley Cup, they are the Heat on the court and on the ice. 2 titles, Stanley Cup in 3 years, but when you measure it off the court in terms of sponsorship dollar allocation in South Florida, when LeBron was doing his dynasty with the Heat, more money was heading that way, and I don't mean Carnival money. More non-Carnival money was heading toward the Heat than is heading toward the Panthers. More buyers, more ability for Arison to monetize that franchise in a way that the Vinny Viola, a great owner, one of the best owners, probably the second best owner in South Florida sports history behind Mickey Arison, I would say that he just will not be able to get the appreciation, and I mean that both literally and figuratively, as the Heat got during the LeBron dynasty.
Guys, I wanted to go and explore something here with David Samson and the rest of you. David is not afraid to be vulnerable on his own show and give up some intimacies that are super weird, unusual, and he leaves them out there for our judgment. Your night terrors. You told me the other day that you had a terrible dream. Do you wish to share that dream with the audience?
Dan. So Dan and I tend to speak during strange hours when people are awake who shouldn't be awake. And I told him something in confidence that I had a terrible, I suffer from terrible night terrors, which is when you have nightmares and you basically are screaming in your sleep. And if you happen to be lucky enough to sleep with somebody, you get awoken by someone who is scared and wondering what will happen when they wake you, but you're making noises. And my night terrors, Dan, is I am panting, and it's the same one. It's a recurring night terror that I have way too often.
What is too often? What is too often?
There is not a week that goes by that I do not wake up screaming.
Okay, so you also are an insomniac. So when you reach deep sleep, there is terror there.
So it's why I hate sleeping, and it's why I've learned not to sleep. I view my bed. Some people love their bed. And the irony is my algorithm on social media is all these smart beds and comfortable beds and great sheets that come with giggles. And my view of my bed is it's the devil. I don't view it as welcoming or opening like an angel. I view it as fire and brimstone. So I don't like getting into my bed. I actually hate my bed. And when I fall asleep, what happens, Dan, is it's the same one. I'm being chased, and I'm being chased to be captured. And what happens is there are people on the sidelines watching like it's a game, except it's not a game. I'm actually being chased that will result in my death or my capture. And what happened the other night, Dan, is normally it is faceless, the people who are watching on the sidelines. But this time it was you and Stugotz who were on the sideline, and it was all of Meadowlark Media, but they were all blurred like it was some sort of HBO situation when I was a kid where it was scrambled and you had to look for an elbow and hope that it wasn't an elbow. That's what the face of Metal Arc Media looked like. It was just people blurred, except you and Stu were clear, like high definition. And what you were doing was you were cheering for this happening. And I was screaming and out of breath. And the next thing I knew, which is how they end, is I get woken up when I'm sleeping with somebody. And it's disconcerting. So I texted you about it. And it was, thank you for bringing that up, Dan. I don't enjoy night terrors. If anyone has any suggestions,
it's horrifying.
I'm open to it.
It's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And I can't, I'm not a scared person in general. I can't tell you how scary it is. It makes me feel like I'm Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow, where you're just reliving the same thing over and over, but it comes in different shapes and sizes in terms of where I'm being taken to, how I'm being kidnapped away or killed. And it causes me out loud, apparently, where I'm screaming and panting in a way that is off-putting, unfortunately, if you can ever find someone to share that with.
David, have you ever explored the psychology of that particular nightmare? Because it seems like if you're a psychologist, that they would hear that and they would go, well, that signifies this, or something of that nature.
It seems to be a pretty obvious one, by the way. Like that dream would not take somebody who's interning to be a psychologist would really, that is not a profound dream. That is
right, but what does it mean though?
What it means is that he is surrounded at all times by mistrust that roots for his impending demise. Like that all his life he gets woken up that everyone who surrounds him, he distrusts that those people are secretly rooting for him to die.
Can I put in my application to be one of the people on the sideline? I'm trying to watch this. Sounds hilarious. I want to stand next to Stu and Dan and get my giggles in.
I do want to push back a little bit on something David said, which is he's not a scared person. Brought to you by the guy that wears anti-pickpocket pants and zippers with shorts on them.
He's got a panic room.
And also won't let me get his candy inside of his bag with my bare hand. Again, not scared of anything, but...
Let me explain, Tony, because that's a great point that you would think would be inconsistent. Lacking trust does not equal fear. And so I don't want germs in my candy bag. I don't want to share. I don't want to use public restrooms. That's germ related. And pickpockets, do you know what a pain in the ass it is to have to get a new license, new credit card? I don't want to do any of that. It's a waste of time. So I'm not scared of having my pocket picked. I am really deliberate about not wanting to have to do what comes next.
Isn't this also brought to you by the man that when he stays at hotels, sometimes late at night goes down to the lobby so he can be around people? It's okay to be a fearful person. You're scared. It's okay.
So that's just, I don't like being alone. Absolutely. So I guess a fear of being alone is not that I'm going to get hurt. It's the fear of what happens if I need to be woken up and I'm screaming, or what happens if I stroke out and I need help. Maybe that is fear, guys. Maybe I'm wrong.
What do you
Maybe
do?
I'm just a scared little boy.
When it's 2 a.m., you're like, I'm lonely. When you go downstairs, what does that conversation look like with that front desk worker?
It's a doorman, and last night at it was closer to 3 a.m. because everything's an hour earlier now because the show pre-production on Nothing Personal is 6:25 a.m. Eastern because the show starts at 7. Last night we were talking about the Yankees and whether or not Aaron Judge will get help from Giancarlo Stanton and when that help will come because Stanton had a rehab outing in Double-A last night. So we talked Yankees, and it's funny in the city in the middle of the night. There is not a lot going on except people who you really don't want to hang out with. But my doorman's awesome.
Okay, I have 1,000 questions. All right. Tony, my first question is, why were you laughing there?
Well, the whole thing, or just
you were laughing throughout.
Production meeting is at 6:25 on the dot, and Coca's never late. Is he a punctual guy, David?
Oh, 1,000%. We're never late. We are on the Zoom getting ready for the show at 6:25 a.m. every day.
Tony, why are you laughing at this, that he would be a punctual person who fears for his life? Why is the thing that you noticed in all of the details that he just gave us, wow, David's punctual? Yeah, because he's afraid.
No, Coca's punctual.
No, everyone here is punctual.
Not everybody here.
No, obviously not here. No one here is accountable for anything. But of all the stories he just told, how is the thing that you're laughing at that he's punctual?
It's just it's a microcosm of who David is, right? It's the zippers, it's the pants,
Zippers on shorts.
Well,
It's
put
just
that.
on
Yes,
shorts.
you mentioned that. In
It's
fact,
okay.
I'm
It's
sorry.
dying
You know what?
industry.
You know what?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, stumbling.
They are not zippers with shorts on them. Get out. You've got to leave the room, Tony. Yes, Tony, you said zippers with shorts
with
on
zippers
them.
on them.
Me?
Yes,
I mean,
you
that
get
was
out,
just a
Tony.
mistake. You misspoke. We're live.
He has
pal.
zippers on shorts, and I'm the one that's getting kicked out.
You
called
said zippers on shorts.
Gestapo soup.
Yeah, that's what
And
you
his
said.
ass stayed in that seat.
That's right.
How about you fight the power,
We gonna
pal?
get back to that, or
We will get back to that in a second. Put on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do you hate your bet? Put on the poll as well. Can you be a fearless person if you're afraid of people's hands in your candy bag? I think, David, that you've just had an enormous blind spot revealed, which is that you like to think of yourself as a fearless person, and you are fearless in many ways in many areas, but there are many areas where you are not fearless, where like what you have just described as a night terror is, and I wouldn't blame you, you would be afraid to fall asleep.
I'm governed by caution, but I'm also, it happens so often that I've learned that why would I want to go to sleep if I'm able to function and do shows or run a baseball team or run a marathon? If I'm able to do that without sleeping, then why would I put myself in a position where I'm risking the possibility, if not probability, of being chased down or kidnapped or killed? Why would I want to enter into that? I don't have like sex dreams. I don't have dreams where I'm floating above and everyone's loving me and I'm loving on them like we're doing ecstasy. I don't have those dreams. So if I know that I'm having the bad ones, why would I do that to myself?
But here's what I can't understand. Why are you living with this recurring nightmare that causes you such pain? Why don't you seek counseling or something of that nature to try to solve the issue? I'm not even kidding here. I'm not kidding here.
No, I appreciate it, Greg, and I have. And obviously, there's been a lot of hours of therapy, but the problem is the night terrors are so far down the list, we never get to them.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God! All right, so
Wow.
we will save those. I put off on a file to the left because we've got a lot of things to talk about. Another day when we go through some of David Samson's other deep issues. Yes, I'm sorry. That file cabinet to the left.
you're putting it to your right?
Yes, I know.
So it's our okay.
Chris is locked in again.
Chris, just put in a file
Or
cabinet.
at least I was starting to say that until his most recent contribution.
Don Le Batard.
Is there back in my day?
There is, actually.
What?
Were you not going to tell anyone?
What?
Tuesday.
Wait a minute.
You guys,
Tuesday.
guys,
How long have I been doing this
it's
show?
a Tuesday.
Stugotz. Here's your guy, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Shit, I hope I have it. Okay, here it is. Sorry. Adultery.
Yeah,
We are back again.
That is
Waiting for this one.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Chris, this is what I want. I want an actual file cabinet. What is that?
We have breaking news. I have audio of how Brad Marr, that guy, I don't want to give it away.
Damn.
I don't. If I say it, I now know
Brad Marr?
how he says it.
Okay, Chris.
I now
all
know
right,
how he
Chris,
says it.
Chris,
So if I say it, I'm going
Chris,
to give away
all right,
how he
Chris,
says it.
The setup to this. David, what do you think Chris was just trying to explain there as the executive producer setting up this story?
I think that he was trying to tell me that he listened to Nothing Personal, or how I dealt with it is I said both Marchand and Marchand during the course of a segment because I don't know which it is, so you just do both.
Okay, so now we have breaking news right now. You're telling me that Brad Marchand, I would call him Marchand. It seems like it would have an undercurrent of French to it. I think it would be proper to be Marchand, and I think it's been culturally appropriated that Americans have ended up making it a harder Marchand. So we're about to learn whether I'm erroneous in my reckless speculation. I say Marchand.
This was many years ago. He was asked, "How do you pronounce your name?"
Brad Marchand.
Dan, you're right. Wow. Dan was right. But also, it's not just Americans. Like, the Chiclets guys can't pronounce this guy's name worth a lick. It's become Marchand. And I'm like, do I have this wrong? I assumed it was Marchand, but all these hockey guys are saying Marchand.
Give me that one more time, though, because is it Marchand or Marchand?
He puts the emphasis on the
On
first
the mar.
syllable. Yeah.
Let's listen
Yeah.
again.
Brad Marchand.
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 So everyone's saying it wrong?
That can't be right.
Yes.
None of us
he's
have
the
said it
only
right
one saying
for
it
you.
right.
He's wrong.
He's the only one saying it right.
Hopefully he's not here long enough that you can actually get used to how.
All right, Mike, you are looking at 2 games away from an all-time bad take.
What? That I don't like him? No, it's just a personal preference.
No.
Told you this. He's kind of he's backtracked on the bad player.
What? That he's a rotational winger?
You said he was bad when he first came.
Yeah, he was bad, and then he got put on the third line, and the third line does what the third line does.
Wait a minute.
It was incredible, that amazing goal that he didn't hit in. And also, that open net with Stuart Skinner 15 feet away from the crease. Wow, the ability.
Okay, David Samson, you have seen what stubborn looks like. Mike Ryan is unwilling to concede anything, even though he's looking to be all-time wrong on Brad
He's a good
Marchand.
player for them. He's also
the MVP of the Stanley Cup if it ends today.
Oh, kiss my ass.
I think Bennett's the leader. I think Bennett's the
Sam
leader.
Bennett's got the most goals in Conn Smythe, and also we do this thing where Sergei Bobrovsky can't win the Conn Smythe. He's been the most consistent player throughout the playoffs. Get out of here with Brad Marchand.
Good old kiss my
and
ass.
I'll pronounce it the way I want to. Winning Conn Smythe.
Marchand.
Stop that. Don't let. And also, did Roy reveal that he's a member of the Pro Writers Association?
Yeah.
First year.
For his tweets?
No
Where
vote.
can I find his column?
No votes. That's why he doesn't. That's why Dwork has the vote for Conn Smythe. And
Wait, how is it? But he's a part of a writers association. Did anybody say, where do you write? Where can I find your stuff?
I thought that. I didn't say it.
It's a good question.
Where does he write?
Let's do it.
Sam Reinhart 2-1?
Thank you. We were too busy thinking about soup to address that question. Maybe you can bring Roy in. I think it bears answering. Mike, I'm going to have to do something, though, about when the sports argument has escalated to the highest of alerts, which is when somebody in the argument is saying, "Oh, kiss my ass."
Yeah.
I believe no,
Yeah.
don't say yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
don't
kiss
say
my ass
no.
with Brad Marchand being Conn Smythe.
No.
Out of here.
Marchand.
CB.
Mike,
I'll say how I want to say
You don't get
it.
to end an argument just by putting the line and kiss my ass, and then no one can go over it.
Oh, get out of here. He's not
you
even the
don't-
most valuable
kiss it,
player on
man.
the line.
No,
Kiss
no,
it.
Listen to me.
Lucerine and Orinen is.
Samson,
I
kiss it.
will not abide kiss my ass as a crossed line around
Be
here.
happy for your team. I'm happy for my team. It's a damn shame I'm the only loyal one here.
No,
I
Samson,
can have a personal problem with the guy.
Samson, you're a lawyer who can talk your way out of any situation. Mike wants to do it. I'm not going to let him. He's 2 games away from an all-time bad take, no matter how much he wants to talk out of the stink under it.
The worst part about this, Dan, is what Mike is actually doing is rooting for the Panthers to win and for Marchand to be terrible. That
No.
would be his ideal situation.
What are you talking about? I love my team. Hey, you're on a Panthers line. Go ahead and do your best. I can have a personal problem with you.
I gotta say, I feel like we're being a little unfair to Mike. Like, who amongst us has never been on a team or worked at a place where you wanted things to work out? There was one person in that place that you're like, I don't want things to work out for him. Like, I get where Mike is coming from.
Look, David should know. He's a World Series champion. Was happy for the guys on the field. Him? Whatever. Happy that the team won. Jeffrey Loria could do without that on his resume. It kind of chaps my ass that Jeffrey Loria gets to be a champion forevermore.
So now
when the guy
Dan's
was a terrible owner.
Dan's got to kiss a chapped ass?
Yeah, my ass is chapped because of Jeffrey Loria. I'm not happy for him. Happy my guys won, though. Miguel Cabrera, Mikey Lowell, thank you.
Put it on the poll. Is the best ass to be kissed, chapped at Le Batard Show?
That's a poll.
David.
That's a terrible poll.
No,
question.
it's a great one. Thank you.
Kiss my chapped ass, David.
I can't believe that you have escalated this conversation to that just to deflect from how wrong you're going to be. We'll get back to it.
Well, how am I
Time for
wrong?
that.
My whole thing is I posited he's a bad person. Do you have evidence?
You said
to
he
the
was
contrary?
a bad player.
You said he was a bad player,
Every
Mike.
Panther
Yeah, he
coach and
was.
player says he's one of the best guys they've ever been
I
around.
don't
That-
care.
no, look.
There's plenty of people.
Look.
There's a lot of people that are like, hey, this president, he's my guy.
Look, Paul Maurice with Wonderful Human Being, that's where I draw the line. Kiss my ass style on Maurice, you're a liar. Like
He doesn't
that's-
say it about everybody.
No, well, that's fine. He's wrong. Wrong and a liar.
He literally said it about Noshek, and that guy is anybody.
look,
He really liked our second
No,
period.
Paul Maurice is on the fumes of his own supply. He's filled with love. He's very happy. Everyone's
really
now
good.
the best.
They're really good.
No, the
lost it.
really though is a good Paul
Really
Maurice.
good
You
second
did
period.
lose it.
Okay, I was wrong about him being a rotational winger. Clearly, he's been really good these playoffs. He's been a good player for the Florida Panthers. I'll happily.
No one
look,
likes to admit when
no
they're wrong.
one
more than
likes
Mike.
admitting that they're wrong more than I am. But my main point of contention is he's a piece of garbage.
Okay, no,
and you
this is
cannot. You can pull all the data
unnecessary.
points you want, pal, to try to
Don't do
convince
this.
me I'm wrong about
Don't
that.
do this.
But I am not wrong.
It doesn't-
Brad Marchand, garbage person.
Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand.
Okay. All right. So there we are. Garbage person. That's too strong, I think. And
Not strong enough.
think?
Yeah, let's have some coffee. I'll tell you what I really think about the guy.
Let's have some.
We'll say it over some coffee.
What you said before that.
Well, my feelings about Brad Marchand
Are we gonna
don't
do
need to be public consumption.
You ever got coffee with Mike?
Yeah.
He opens up.
I open up.
Wait a minute. He just sent me over his shoulder past the file cabinet I had put to my left. He sent me over his shoulder to go have coffee with him to get his honest thoughts.
Yeah. I'm sure
But
Nevin.
you just said he was a garbage person.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Those are the
Look,
public thoughts, Dan.
no, I'm sure there are people that are like Nevin Shapiro. I'll listen to his podcast. Good guy. Not for me. I don't like him. Prove to me that I'm wrong about this. A personal opinion. You can't. He's a rat.
Okay. Garbage person, I believe. Okay, you called Julius Randle that, and then
And I was right.
And a couple of weeks ago, we put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you guys should
You should-
borrow from me.
yes.
Admit when you're wrong.
Well, that one's the most wrong. That was an insane thing.
Please cut that for the Sueys. There was a lone dissenting voice that aged very well.
Okay. We don't need to go from what we were just talking about to celebrating you being right.
Oh, please. It's one of my
Julius
favorites.
Randle.
Look, first place admitting I'm wrong because I'm a king that way.
right,
Second
you are.
place, reveling when I'm right.
Is chicken soup the king of the chicken soups, David Samson?
No, matzo ball soup is.
Thank you, David.
Where's my soup?
We finally have the proper representation on this show.
I know that.
If you haven't had matzo ball soup, anyone there? There's only one thing I heard you say that is so wrong that it hurts me. Gazpacho is 100% a soup. It's not even an argument. There's no one who would say it's not a soup but you, because you have some weird view of temperature as being correlated to the definition of soup, which is absolutely not.
Never feel more righter than when David Samson disagrees with us.
That's correct.
I love it. If I know that David Samson disagrees with me, I feel so much better about my position. Also, I'm sorry to alienate the audio-only audience, but we're just not going to say anything about this cashmere fatigue sports coat that he's rocking.
Well, what do you think of his wardrobe in general? He's got a lot of jackets. Each of them makes a statement.
I think he dresses like a lie. Like if you would put a lie in clothes, that's what I would imagine it dresses like. What?
Dominique, stop.
Stop
and
what?
get the picture of Cameron Diaz off the screen.
You've been doing something new with your hair, and the dark contrast behind you isn't really doing it. I was getting coffee talking shit about Brad Marchand the other day, and I looked at the DraftKings network. You're on now for 2 hours. I'm like, what is he doing? Did someone do this to him?
He's had a glow up. His introduction, I don't know, David, you can tell me how much it was focus group. You can tell me how many dissenting opinions you had your house of your new presentation, which has new music and a lot of flair, a lot of David Samson flair that some people might find objectionable.
Well, listen, I'm all into the hate watching and the love watching, but I think if you go to the weekly meeting, you may find out that Nothing Personal is doing quite well. And thank you for that, Dan. Thanks for the opportunity. And what you'll notice is this is days 1 through 6 of a new haircut is when the hair looks like this. And then it starts getting combed to the side starting day 7. And that goes day 7 to approximately day 20 to 25.
6:25 in the morning. Don't be late.
He's very precise. His life seems like a real horror. And it sounds to me also that Mike Ryan was rooting in that crowd of people while you were winning the Marlins championship. As one of your night terrors, he was rooting against you, but for everyone else. This is why your dreams are horrors.
That was a pretty good example of what I'm going for here with Brad Marchand. I don't like the guy. Love the team. Love the laundry. Oh, seemingly the only person in this studio that cares about the sweater. I put the shield above all, folks.
You too, folks.
Marchand. The way you can remember it, Mike, is garbage.
No, he's not going to be here for
Marchand.
long. Not for long. How about that?
The whole fighting in hockey thing had me thinking last night of how it's such a thing that we accept in this particular sport. And I was wondering if we could come up with other things in other sports that would be weird in any other sports. Because Dan often likes to say, what if in a basketball game? Like, obviously, we flip out because it's not something that's acceptable culturally in that sport, and also race. But there are other sports. So I was thinking, the first thing that came to mind for me was baseball managers wearing full uniforms. If we showed up to a football game and Mike Tomlin got on shoulder pads, helmets, and full suit.
Not Tomlin. It's Andy Reid.
great.
It's Andy Reid. It's like you got Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin can play the part.
Is that the most ridiculous? A hockey coach in full uniform would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, Dominique,
Paul
let me
Maurice.
explain. Baseball managers are the only managers or coaches who actually go between the lines. So managers go to the pitcher's mound to make pitching changes. So you can't walk onto a field of play not wearing a uniform. That's why managers wear uniforms.
What about trainers?
What about
I
Connie
love where your
Mack?
head's at, but no, trainers are only on the field in case of like emergency. It's like why doctors do
So on
not
the
wear
field.
uniforms either. But a manager and coaches are part of your roster, and they access the field.
But that explanation doesn't make it less ridiculous. Like they don't. That's just a rule they make. They don't have to be in uniform to do that.
I've seen Spo at half court call a timeout. He's been on the field before.
I like the idea of Stan Van Gundy in like a full basketball uniform.
He's wearing the undershirt though, right? Yeah.
We've gotten away from David Samson's jacket, but also Greg Cody had a killer in there that no one noticed because a stray came across the sky, and it was a beautiful shot out of the black and white 1919s of what about Connie Mack got shouted by
Greg's
Greg
right, by
Cody.
the way.
And,
Baseball managers didn't used to wear uniforms. I mean, they wore, not only didn't they wear uniforms, they dressed up like they were going to church on Sunday. Some of them wore straw hats and boaters, and they really did it up. Why not that again? What rule says, I mean, there probably is a rule, but what rule should be in place that says a manager has to be in uniform to walk to the hallowed pitcher's mound to make a change? Why?
One of the great arguments that we have had is whether or not managers can wear some non-uniform stuff in the dugout, and they actually get fined when they don't dress properly and they look like schleppers by wearing the cutoffs. Like Belichick and what he does with the cutoff sweatshirts, that is not allowed to be worn by managers, and they get spoken to by the league when they do it and get fined.
Yeah, because the NFL isn't a big success. I mean, nobody watches the NFL, so Belichick wearing a hoodie, that's going to kill the whole sport. What is the logical reason that says a manager has to be in uniform to walk to the mound?
I just think it looks bad. Let me just say what I used to love the way Tom Landry looked or Dan Reeves, and I used to love when NBA coaches, Pat Riley to me was what changed the NBA in terms of style and coaches. Can you imagine for 1 second Pat Riley wearing a quarter zip on the sideline? It's just patently offensive and ridiculous. And there's now 15 assistant coaches, and they all look the same. And it makes me crazy. I think that they could dress up and look nicer, and they should. And they get clothing allowances as part of contracts and sponsors, etc. But again, Pat Riley in a quarter zip, I don't think so.
All right, David, I need to ask the executive producer something. That music is usually reserved for Greg Cody. It shouldn't be up while he's talking, although he was also giving antiquated opinions. We have matzo ball soup that has arrived for Dominique Foxworth. It is here. We will have a payoff at the end of this segment about whether or not it's delicious. How does it look to you?
Be honest.
It looks great.
Don't let it get cold.
He's so
Hold on a
great.
minute. We're going to give
Is
it
it a
4.5
floater?
minutes.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
Don't let it get cold.
Yeah, it'll stop being a soup if it gets
go
cold.
ahead and have it, but I've got a problem because
Looks good.
There are two
it's
topics
delicious.
I want to get to with
balls.
David Sampson and Chris Cody. I'm going to allow you the executive producer privilege, because you're on a hot streak today, of making the judgment. Rick Pitino and Jay Wright have said no to the Knicks job. Mike Malone isn't a candidate, according to the New York Post, so now you've got no Jason Kidd. You're being denied the ability to get a coach that's going to have more sizzle on it than Tibbs. Somebody like Rick Pitino says he's not interested. Jay Wright, he's not interested. So now you're stuck with what? Chris Quinn? Taylor Jenkins? Like, what's going to happen with the Knicks?
I'm not sure.
Or
Good answer.
Boy's on fire today.
Very good answer. Accurate.
Would you go to their funeral with David Samson?
I think you know how I'm going to play this game, Dano. Would you attend their funeral with David Samson?
Seems like I don't know how you're going to play this game.
You just murmured,
There it
F
is.
me.
Yeah. Love a good off mic.
What was that setup?
Me.
Chris, who's
Hey.
going to be the next coach of the Knicks?
Don't point
Or do you-
fingers.
All right, I'm sorry.
One
Accountability.
topic or the other with David Samson. I know he wants to talk about the Knicks coach, but I guess you're choosing would you attend their funeral? So let's play.
Would you attend their funeral? Carlos Alvarez.
The balls are the best part.
Carlos Alvarez is the former mayor of Miami-Dade County who got recalled after the stadium was approved, and he became a bodybuilder. If you Google a picture of Carlos Alvarez today, you will not believe what he looks like. And I've not spoken to him since I left.
You have
and I
not spoken
wouldn't
to him
expect
since he gave you everything that you needed.
Exactly. So no, I would not attend his funeral.
Dominique
He
is
got
avoiding.
recalled for what he did for you.
Dan, I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing. He's avoiding the balls.
Dominique is avoiding the matzo balls, which
That's
are the
the
best
good
part.
stuff,
That's
dude.
the best part of the soup.
How's the soup, I mean?
You're not gonna.
I mean,
Did you just call him a mean?
No.
Yeah, what?
he said, I
How's-
mean,
Exactly, thank you.
the soup.
He's also in our Panther chat.
The soup itself.
That was
Delicious.
for sure in a mean.
It was not in the mean. It was, I mean.
I need a replay.
Minor penalty. Stumbling.
You want to admit when you're wrong? It's okay with me, pal.
Why would you throw an
Dominic
I
got
mean
it.
at
How's the soup, I mean?
This is a safe space for admitting when you made a mistake.
That's crazy.
I tried to have your back, dog.
Would you offer someone
crazy.
a caretta from a Jewish deli?
Croqueta?
Croqueta?
No,
Yeah.
that's not how
Did you call it a
said.
caretta?
That is not how
Well, he
you
was
said
thinking of La
croqueta.
Caretta, right?
And I called it the Gestapo earlier.
I'm gonna go serve this.
You can't give a matzo ball soup from anything but a Jewish deli and ask him to judge.
Yeah,
the
where
matzo
did we
ball
get
soup.
where did
How
we get
did
this
you
matzo ball
just
soup
say
from?
croqueta?
I thought it was crojetta. Crogetta.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
I heard
Croqueta.
Coretta, and I could see him
Coretta.
conflating
Yeah,
La
I think
Caretta with croqueta.
that's probably what happened.
Yeah,
there.
if you know who Carlos Alvarez is and what he went through to get David his stadium, it is an amazing revelation that David's like, I'm not going to his funeral.
Let's thank you for that photo. Thank you guys for giving us some visual aids to what it is that we're talking. He's going to leave a good corpse.
David, it's from Roasters and Toasters, so they did get it from the right place.
Okay.
Bob,
Are they floaters or are they sinkers?
I mean, it's just a giant. they're two
Shallow bowl,
giant
hard to
balls,
tell.
Giant balls.
Too big, the balls.
Bob Dupuis.
It's Bob Dupay.
No, no. So this is
I have that
artificial
audio,
intelligence
too. I
again.
have that audio,
yeah,
too.
no, it's Dupuy.
I don't care. I don't care
I
what
thought
you
it was. I thought it goes by Dupay, but that is not the pronunciation of that. Is Dupuis.
Get me that audio.
I will be going to Bob Dupay's funeral. No matter where it is, and I expect that it will not be close to where I am, though there is a chance it's in Florida somewhere, though I'm not there at that moment, but I will work it into trying to come to the Miami studio. But yes, Bob Dupay, 100%, I will be at your funeral.
Why are you talking directly to him?
Because he likes your show?
Bob Dupuis. Manny Diaz
It's
Sr.
Dupay.
Manny Diaz Sr.
Toupee.
That depends when he dies. So we have a relationship. Well, that's very important.
It is
If he dies during one of our times that we're not getting along, then I won't go. But if he dies during a time when we're schmelkus, then I would go. So again, that will be very time dependent whether I go to Manny's funeral.
What is schmelkus? What is schmelkus?
Loving, together, all good.
One more thing here before we let David Samson go, and we can all critique this together, and we can all watch the verdict or get the verdict from Dominique on the matzo ball soup, even though he didn't eat the matzo, which is cheating, and he's afraid of being called anti-Semitic.
Not matzah.
I also
gotta get
have
the matzo ball.
I also have the replay of what Tony said. If we want to relive
Which
that.
was, I mean.
All right, so wait a minute. So you and Tony were laughing in the back room there, and I wanted that show. I wanted the show that Dominique and Tony were laughing about there. What was so funny?
A couple of things, Dan. We had the jump shot, and Dominique was like, how do you remain a means friend with that jump shot? You know, long story, viral decontextualization and whatnot. But we were also commenting on the texture of said matzo ball, and me and Dominique were looking at it and being like,
careful.
And we were saying that it looks delicious, some great texture, and it probably is incredibly yummy. Probably.
The textures,
You're just not going to eat it, so then it
I'm
can't.
absolutely going to eat
It is a mushy texture.
But it can't be the best soup if you're not willing to eat all of it. Anyway, here it is, the new opening to David Samson's new show. You guys tell me what you think. David Samson, you tell me how this has gone over with everyone. Nothing personal, every day, 2 hours long. This is how it's introduced to you every day. David works very hard on this. This is a stylistic choice, like his jacket. David is purposeful about the details. Here's the opening to David Samson's show.
No.
Oh.
This kind of feels like your funeral.
Gotta have
Bob O'Reilly.
The Dominique hug has to be in here. Come on. Give it to me.
Royalty free The Who. I love this.
Oh.
Come on. Give
What
me
is
the
that?
hug. Give me the hug.
No hug.
Man, no hug.
Yeah. For the audio audience, it felt like David Samson had died and we were putting together a tribute video.
I don't think that's
It
the
keeps
open.
going.
I don't think that's the open to a show.
Teenage ways.
it's like I'm at a UFC fight.
This is absolutely royalty free.
Ah, look at these photos.
Look at this. Look at this.
Live.
Look at all those shirts from Cam from
Good
Modern
God.
Family.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, my God.
I dig it.
Dan, you missed something very important. The 30-second countdown is required at YouTube where we're live at 7 a.m. That is not the show open. That's the countdown. Instead of just having a countdown from 30, which with nothing to look at, there's something to look at. And that's where that comes from. The opening comes when the 30-second clock goes to 0. That second 20 seconds, that's the actual opening to Nothing Personal.
So you're putting
Good to
videos
know.
together and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a video of me putting something on a table 11 times at the City Winery. That's what I'm going to use.
Let's hear Tony call.
No. I know what they're going to want to see. They want to see me get a haircut.
Could you tell a team of video producers, humanize me?
Hey, check out my shirt collection. Look at all my shirts and jackets.
Anything else?
Let's hear Tony calling Dominique Amin.
How's the soup? I mean,
You're not going to.
Oh, yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, guilty.
How's the soup? I mean,
You're not going to.
I mean, I speak quickly. I mean.